Okay, so I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see that? Do you see it now, or is it just Facebook? Do you just see me, or do you see my screen? Hey, you guys, everyone's popping in. I love it. You can see my screen? All right, awesome. Woohoo! I just wanted to share a couple things that are coming up, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, about the big changes going on with me. No, I'm not having a baby, and no, I'm not getting married. It's not those kind of changes. I'm changing my classroom. I have been teaching Cricut classes for 10 years, online in various formats in various places, and it's time for a change. So I am focusing 100% of my attention, starting April 1st, with Stampin' Up. I love the products. I love that it's so different and so new, and not new to the world, just new to me. Totally different than Cricut. It really is. It's a whole different thought process. I used to talk about right brain, left brain. This is not my computer brain. This is my hands, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. And I've decided that it's time for a change. So what does that mean for all of you? Well, for the past 10 years, my business has been an online educator. I charge for my classes. I am all about, the education. I am an educator by trade, and I'm all about that. I've never been anybody who provides you with tons of affiliate links and tries to sell you stuff and all of that. It's all about the education. Well, now what's different for me is you're going to get the class for free when you purchase the Stampin' Up products from my Stampin' Up website. So you might be spending the same amount of money with me that you spent as a full-time student, for example, but you're going to get a whole lot more. You're going to get more than just me. You're going to get me and all the supplies that you need to work with. So I'm hoping that you like that approach too. I feel like it's a good deal, but we'll find out. So there's 3 special things in April. Actually, there's 4. There's this one that kicks off, kicks off the month. We start Friday night on the 31st with just a get-together and fun time. And then on April 1st, we do techniques and then projects. Going forward, there's 2 classes like that in the month. So for this one, you have to order a list of supplies, and I give them to you right here. Whole list of supplies from my Stampin' Up site. And it's really important that you do that soon because it's celebration at Stampin' Up. And that means when you spend $50, you get a free something. You get to choose something else free. Sorry. So that's that one. But then the next one is the heat embossing course. And that one is going to be all about heat embossing the week before the live event. So during the week, each day, a new technique class will appear for you to work on. Different specific techniques to using heat embossing. And then on Saturday the 15th, we'll create 4 or 5 projects together in a live class where you can talk to me and I can talk to you. We can turn on the cameras. You can see what's going on at your house if you want. You don't have to, but you can. So that's that one. That's all heat embossing. Then there's one more in April, and that is using this really cool window shopping bundle. It's awesome. And again, that has 5 days of techniques. It comes with a video and my whisper. If you haven't been in my classroom before, whispers are basically my notes. And they're called whispers because the theory behind them is that I'm sitting next to you whispering in your ear. Yeah, I know, kind of corny. It sounded cool 10 years ago. So that one is April 24th through the 28th. And then the live event where we actually put these techniques that we've learned all week to use is on the 29th. So if you were to purchase the class, just the class, that would be, you also get SVGs that I create. So if you're still a Cricut user, you can cut some things out with your Cricut and bring them in. But if you're not a Cricut user, I can provide you with the images, the die cuts in the mail. They'll come in the mail to you. You just have to let me know. Okay? So that's what's new with me. And you can see both? All right, great. Because I couldn't see Facebook when I was doing all that, so I hope that you didn't have any big, giant questions. Hey, Joy, welcome. Jeannie, Robin, glad to see you guys. Hey, Tammy. Oh, I'm missing a bunch of names. So sorry. Glad that you're here. Yeah, it's a crazy snowy day here in Vermont, so I thought this would be something fun to do. All right. So everything's new here in the classroom. I actually have I'm using Zoom now, which I love a zillion times better. And let me switch my camera, and we're going to play with watercolors for a little bit. All right. Actually, we're going to play with watercolor pencils, which I like even more because they're not messy and I can control them better. Back in the day, like, I don't even know how many years ago, I was a Copic certified coloring instructor, and I love coloring. I think it's the coolest thing ever, but it's tough to have all those Copic markers. It really is. So watercolor pencils actually do pretty much the same thing for me. And I'm going to show you how. So I'm using my watercolors. Remember, these are what we're using in the kickoff project at the end of April. You still have time to get into that. That's the one where you order $50 worth of product on my site and you get invited to that event. Okay. I also wanted to use, now remember I told you Stampin' Up! Comes with 3 different styles of stamps. They come with the clear polymers, the photopolymer ones that we used in the video this morning. They come with a red. It comes just like this, and you use your clear block to mount these. Or they have a more traditional with a wooden block. Now, some people think, well, I don't know about that. Now I've got a lot of stuff to store. They come in these boxes. They're a little bit wider than, let me show you the other one so you can tell the two. Tammy, I had to do them to match my table, right? You know I love this color. So here's the photopolymer stamps going here, and also the red rubber mount ones using the clear block. This is the size box for the ones with the wooden block. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger, but they're the same height. They take up the same amount of room. In height, they're just a little thicker. Okay. In the box, you get your stamp, your really nice wooden block, and a little sticker that goes on the back of the block. All right, so the first thing you do, because it's really easy to put this on and then do it backwards, is you're going to peel off the sticky part, the little protective gear so it gets sticky. And you're going to put this on your block. Position it nicely in the middle. Make sure you have it where you want it. And commit. Okay? Now, I'm going to put the sticker, but I want to make sure that I don't put it on upside down. Yeah, I would do that, right? I peel you off. Make sure that I flip my block and do it the right way. And then position you. And again, commit to this. So now I know when I have my stamp, when I see it this way, I can tell that it's the same direction and I'm not stamping my stamp upside down accidentally. All right, it's just that easy. That's the prep that it takes. It's not really hard. Okay, so now a little bit about watercolor pencils and ink. You can use StazOn, which is a more difficult, more alcohol-based ink, or when you're watercoloring, if you're careful and you're not a crazy person and you don't let a 2-year-old do it, you can use the archival stamp pad, and it comes in the gray and the black. I like using gray because it isn't quite so coloring bookish for me, and I'll show you what I mean. So here is, I've already put this together as a card. I could just use a piece of scrap paper for my first one, but I'm going to just jump right in and be really brave that this is going to come out. I'm also using the Stampin' Pad. This is not necessary for everybody, but because I have my tile, Sometimes I get a better stamp if I use it, even though I don't really have to with the red rubber stamps on the wood mount, but it works better for me because of the tile. But that's my own personal issue. So I'm going to stamp my Get Well Soon soup in the middle of this card. All right? All right, let's open up our stamping pad and get to stamping. You will notice, at least I have, that the red rubber stamp does take to the ink really quickly and nicely. It really likes ink. Watch what happens. Look how quickly it grabs it. It really does like it. Now I've made a boo-boo right here. I pushed off the edge. This is because I'm relatively new to stamping. Even though I've been stamping for a while, I haven't used Stampin' Up. I'm new to Stampin' Up. So let's get this back over here so we can see it. It also should be right in front of you, not off to the side. All right, I'm ready. And now I need to turn it because I can't do it not crooked. And then you get it ready. It's that commit thing. And commit. And you just want solid pressure, no rocking. Just nice pressure. Woo, pretty good. Now I'm going to let it dry for a sec while I pick up the rest of my mess. You don't have to let it dry for days, just a little bit. You can clean off your stamp while you're waiting. Oh, Lois, I'm so excited. You are able to watch me live. Yay. Lois has been having trouble with not being able to see the live, but I'm glad you updated and that's all you needed. Perfect. Good, good. Okay, so now I'm ready to start coloring. First thing I'm going to do is decide what color my soup is going to be, and I think my soup's going to be tomato would look cool, but I don't like tomato soup. I like chicken noodle. So I'm going to go with chicken noodle. Might not be as cool. The Stampin' Up pencils come in all these incredible colors that match and coordinate with other Stampin' Up supplies. I have not memorized all the names yet, so that's okay. But I'm going to go with a yellow and an orange and see what that kind of looks like. And really, it's coloring, just like you remember when you were a little kid. And you're just going to color in the lines lightly, just a little bit. And notice nothing smearing. I'm doing good. And I'm going to add a little orange to it. This is where your highlighting comes in. If you've ever done any Copic coloring or any other Spectrum Noirs, any of the other markers, you know that you want to have shadows and highlights. The biggest trick I can tell you, and we'll spend a lot of time talking about this on our weekend event, but you want to consider a light source. Where is the light coming from? In my case, the light's coming from over here. So the light's coming from over here, and the shadow is from the side of the bowl onto my soup. So it's going to be brighter over here because the light's going to hit over here more directly. I know this sounds really techie, right? That's about all you need to know. Where's the light coming from? So, but when I'm coloring my bowl, the light's still coming from here. So I have to make sure that my shadow on the bowl is more on this side because it's not going to be getting as much bright light, right? When you do things like that, it's going to make your picture look more realistic. Okay? All right, so there's my soup for now. And the next thing I'm going to do, I mean, it's fine, it's colored, but I'm going to take the blender pen. Stampin' Up has these really cool blender pens. They come with 2 ends. There's nothing really fancy about what you have to do. You just take the tip off. And when you start coloring, you're going to push the darker color a little bit. So you're just going to start pushing, and you'll see that orange start to blend in with the yellow. You can see, yellow's not the best choice. I'll do a darker color down here so you can see it better. But it takes out all the lines that I might have had. Let me do it in a darker color on the bottom and you'll see. See how it brightens up my soup? It really brings it right out much brighter than it did when it was just the pencil. Now what if I think, well, I want it a little darker over here. I can use a little more orange, but maybe I need to bring in just a little bit of the basic gray. So let's add a little bit of that on top. Then we'll take our blender pen again. And it's really kind of trial and error. You're just going to play with it a little bit. All right? Okay. Now I'm going to do my bowl. And what am I going to do the bowl in? Well, because I want you to see it better, I'm going to use a brighter color. But I want you to get this clean. You can see the tip has got a little bit of orange on it. Too close. Has a little bit of orange. I can just wipe it off. I can use another piece of paper, or I can wipe it off on a paper towel. And then let's use blues and greens. So I'm going to start right now. Remember I said my light's coming from here, so this is going to be brighter than this side. So I'm going to do a really light color over here because the light is on it. And I'm going to get much darker over here. All right. And you can lay it down on the side if you want. Now, when you're looking at this, you're thinking, oh, no, I don't like seeing all those lines. That just doesn't look very cool. It doesn't. It doesn't look very finished at all. Well, let me show you what happens when I bring in the blender pen. Again, I'm going to start from over here because I don't want to put too much color over there. But see how it gets rid of those lines? And this is one of those practice makes perfect deals. The more you do, the better it gets. Now, I'm not even using watercolor paper right now. The blender pens are moist, Rosemary. I'm not using watercolor paper. I'm just using plain old Whisper White. I have to be a little careful that I don't rub too much because this paper isn't really made to get wet, but it works. You just have to be careful. But as you can see, I can start to get rid of that. Let me show you what happens if you color too hard, if you blend too hard. Let's put this down and let's say we make this super dark over here, okay? Now remember, I said I'm really good at showing you the mistakes because I don't worry about it. If it isn't okay, we'll do it. We'll just make another one. But I'm going to learn a lot while I'm doing it. See what happens if I scrub too much? See what it does to the paper? It starts to ball up. That's because this really isn't watercolor paper. Stampin' Up! Makes a specific watercolor paper. So if you're going to do a lot of blending, you're going to want to use the watercolor paper, stamp on that, and then attach it to your card. But because I wanted to just show you what it can do today, we can fix this. We don't have to get that carried away. We don't need that heavy a hand. So let's just do it a little bit lighter. And I don't get that kind of craziness. Now, what if you think, well, you know what, if I had just a little, if this was just a little wetter. There are blender brushes that let you just put water, and you can do that. This comes with a blender solution that works pretty well. So now, let's do this without the blending. Let's just try coloring it. I'm going to do it around, you know what, I'm going to just stamp another one. That's why I love this, because I can just keep making more, right? I can't mess it up. I just make another one. Commit. Okay, didn't do it really well. What's that, boo-boo? But I'm going to live with it. We're going to be okay. I'm going to go with a dark blue. Please ignore that shadow over there, the little smudge, because I don't want to keep doing this. But let's say I don't want to use a lot of blender pen. I really, really just want to color. And then maybe when I get all done, I will kind of just lightly go over it. It totally is a practice makes perfect deal. And the more you do, the better you'll like it. So you could stamp yourself a whole bunch of images, and then while you're watching TV, watching the snow, hanging out, waiting for the snowplow guy to come, you could just be coloring. And it's really kind of, I mean, it really is relaxing. And if you make a boo-boo like I did on that stamp, it's not the end of the world. I should have cleaned my stamp in between, but I didn't. Okay, so see that I have more of the, I'm on the flat side of the pencil. I get more all over color. If I hold it up more straight, I get darker color. The more you go over it, the darker you get. Same kind of rules that you had when you were little. You want to try and go in the same direction for best results. You want to stay within the lines. I know, coloring rules 101. But that's if you're coloring in a stamp. Now, if you're going to do some other watercolor misting and tons of watercolor ideas, but we're not doing those today. And again, just ever so lightly, the blender pen will forgive all of your coloring boo-boos, right? And look how it brings those colors out when I do this. Now, because I want this side lighter, I'm going to take my color and push it over here rather than drag all that heavy color from this side over to this side of the bowl. I'm really, really lightweight, not pushing down hard on my blender. Okay. Anybody have any questions on what we're doing so far? Now to clean this, I can either just wipe it until it's clean over here. I can wipe it off on a paper towel. You see, I don't see any comments, and I have a feeling there might be some. Do I need to refresh? Let me try that. Okay, great. All righty. So that's my watercolor project for the afternoon. I'm going to be watercoloring for a while. Thank you so much for joining. This will be here for you to see later. And we'll be back soon. All righty. Bye.